So let's talk about solving inequalities. So let's say that I have 700 plus 5x is greater than or equal to 100 minus 3x. Well, what I'm going to start by doing is I'm going to take that minus 3x and put it in parentheses. That just allows me to keep track of where the negative sign is when I'm adding or subtracting numbers. Now I'm going to take 5x and subtract it from both sides of the equation. This will get the 5x's to cancel on the left side, and then negative 3x minus 5x, well that's negative 3x plus negative 5x, which is negative 8x. Now what I'm going to do is take 100 and subtract it from both sides. That'll get the 100s to cancel, leaving me with 600 on the left side and negative 8x on the right side of the inequality. Now I'm going to take both sides and divide them by negative 8. This will get the negative 8s to cancel, and on the left side, 600 divided by negative 8. That's going to give me negative 75. And then on the right side, I'm just going to have x. But what's going to go in between these two numbers? Well, whenever you multiply or divide by a negative number, you want to take the inequality sign and you want to flip it. It doesn't matter if it's greater than or equal to, or if it's just greater than. It doesn't matter what it is. If the inequality sign is, if you have an inequality sign and you divide or multiply both sides by a negative number, you want to flip it. Now, if all you need to know is that fact, you can go ahead and scroll to the next video that you're going to watch after this or whatever's going to come afterwards. But if you want to understand why this happens, I'm going to explain it. So the reason that you want to flip the inequality sign is, let's say you had a random inequality like 2 is greater than 1, and this here is true, but now let's say I took both sides and I divided it by negative 1. Notice here, if I divide both sides by negative 1, we'll get negative 2 is greater than negative 1. And this right here is not a true statement. The reason why it's not a true statement is because if I owed someone $2, I would actually have less money than if I just owed someone $1. Bigger negative numbers are smaller because they're going backwards in the negative x direction rather than going forward in the positive x direction, right? So if you had 0 right here we'd have 1, 2, and 3, and then back here we'd have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Notice that negative 1, negative 2 here, is smaller than negative 1 is on the scale. And so whenever you multiply or divide by negative numbers, you have to flip the inequality sign to the other side. So instead, it's going to point at this left side instead of pointing at the right side. And this right here would be an accurate statement because the negative 1 is bigger than the negative 2. Now, if I went ahead and multiplied both sides by a different number, let's just do negative 2 this time. So if I go ahead and multiply both sides by a negative number, this is going to be negative 2 times negative 2, which is positive 4. And that's going to be less than, and then in this case we'll have 2. But notice now we have another inaccurate statement. 4 is not a smaller number than 2. So again, whenever you multiply or divide by a negative number, you have to flip the inequality sign to the other side. And now we have an accurate statement. And if you add and subtract or do anything else or even if you multiply or divide by a positive number, you'll notice that it won't actually impact the inequality. But if you divide or multiply by a negative number, it will impact the inequality, which is why you have to flip it.